I stand firmly in the fact that I'm one of the best to ever do this. For the culture, for my coast, and for my city. This is the Best Rapper in LA podcast. And I'm your host, Murs. What up, though? All right, episode 91. So first of all, this is one of the first songs me and Ski did, and it was a sample-based beat, and sometimes they replayed it, and it's just not as good. When you try to replay a loop, like instruments aren't meant to repeat like loops. I don't know how to explain it. The Roots do a good job making live hip-hop. It's very challenging to make live hip-hop translate to recordings. Making live hip-hop on stage, if you have a great band, and it's been done well by so many people. Shout out to 1500, shout out to Terrace Martin, shout out to Neighborhood Orchestra.
Eyes closed when I propose. I suppose if I ain't never met a girl like you, that's how it goes. The lows ain't even low, the highs higher. How I love a woman who ain't never seen a wire. Guess it's gotta be more. Get it? Life without you, then I probably wouldn't live it. Remember 06 when you first let me? That's when let's just say I won't forget it. Come on, I got in bed with you, and then I read to you.
There's so many. High Respects is another OG Minnesota group with the live band, I believe, if I got it right.
Rock your body to the bass, come take some hi-hats. Stack the energy like a Lego set. Read the liner, Peter's got my back. We can give you some of that. Guaranteed to blow the spot like a strip miner. You can find us in the basement, working on the stomp your feet sound, stomp the beat down. Often we clown and get around like Tupac, but still find the time to rip this shit wide open like one of Hulk Hogan.
So yeah, man, that is a thing, you know? But this is not that, and that ain't this. Speaking of which, go listen to the new album if you haven't.
I ain't got it hit, I ain't on shit. Trying to tell me this ain't that, like that ain't this. I ain't got it hit, I ain't on shit. Trying to tell me this ain't that, like that ain't this. I ain't got it hit, I ain't on shit. Trying to tell me this ain't that, like that ain't this. I ain't got it hit, I ain't on shit. And you can tell the radio that they can suck my dick. All I do is praise God and raise these boys. Real Christians don't curse, you can say that noise. My kids cuss and my rap's not clean, but cops killing blacks now, that's obscene. I keep my eye on the Vatican and new vaccines. They ask for real ID, what the fuck that mean?
It's finally out, my final album, and I think what we're going to do, unless we get some pushback from everybody, is after we finish Love and Rockets Volume 1, we're just going to fast forward and do Love and Rockets 3 now, unless you guys want to wait a few months. Let me know. So yeah, I was searching my emails and my hotmails trying to find the original track list, but being that me and Ski were doing all this in real time, I'll make multiple trips to New York, and there was never bouncing it and giving it to me. I don't think. If I did have it at one point, I don't have it anymore. So we had a sample. The song was amazing. I think this would have been one of my songs I got to still perform. And as good as like the energy of 316 on Murs 316, the 9th edition, when I heard the beat, and then Dame didn't want to use any samples. Coming from someone who had real lawsuits, I understand. If I was trying to tell him, like, I'm not that big, it's not going to be a problem. But he was like, why even put yourself in danger? I wish you would have used the original or just cut this song, because it's just not, it pales in comparison. But some people still like it. He was convinced that it would be the same. It was not.
Pay attention. The industry is dead. Long live the king. Dropped from a headshot and it didn't feel a thing. Woke up this morning with the world in my hand. Money in my pocket, fly girl on demand. On the other hand, I could never waste time. I'm a everyday victim of a random hate crime. It's a scandalous game when you handling fame. Every amateur and lame wanna slander your name. Fake love, fake hugs, fake thugs, fake blood. They turn around and sell it to the public like they ain't sus. I'm just so appalled, especially now I got as much dough as y'all. And I ain't never had to kill nobody, never had to sell coke. Spend it while you can, cause we all go to hell broke. This morning had the world in my hands, so I gave it to the meat, but y'all wouldn't understand. righteous to defend me. God on our side, so we pray for the enemy. 316, 316, 316 ways to kill the industry. Got an army of the righteous to defend me. God on our side, so we pray for the enemy. 316, 316, 316 ways to kill the industry. 316 ways to kill a hater dead. Thou shalt not kill, so I let them motivate instead. 2 commandments, die and pay taxes. Fight to stay righteous while I'm living in this bracket. Crooks in the castles, prophets in the projects. Black man president, still the world's a hot mess. So God bless everybody trying to do right. Shock G bless me, I'ma do what I like. Walk on water, swag on holy. Microphone blessed by the bass God, homie. And Ski cooked up this heater, rising to the top over all these bottom feeders. I don't follow, I'm the leader. I write that OG, you can keep the retweeters. So the scripture's authentic, hip-hop needed love, so I put some God in it.
But yeah, we can get into the lyrics a little bit. Pretty, all self-explanatory. It was just like, at this point, making more money than I ever had in my life, more than I ever have since. I finally owned property. Like, I wasn't in a place where I had to rap. I was rapping because I wanted to, and I wanted to have a message. I wanted to spread love, the love of God and Jesus Christ, to be specific. I was really trying to get back into my faith at this point. I was married. I wasn't drinking. Hadn't smoked cigarettes in a while, on the verge of going back to smoking cigarettes. I wasn't a parent yet. I was like, trying to be all the way right before I brought a kid into this world. A lot of things I had been planning were coming into fruition. Planning to get married, I had my accountant, was working with her to straighten up my finances, and, had the bullshit credit card where you had a $50 limit, you had to pay it off and earn credit because, all those things, my taxes, a stable business model outside of rap, because I had been, even back then, I was looking for ways to quote unquote retire or get out of the spotlight. So Pay Dues was that for me. I was really fulfilled in discovering new talent and putting it on stage and helping push the rising talent to the top. And yeah, this was just making music just to make music. Well, not just to make music, but making music with a message. Yeah. So I felt, was feeling myself, feeling a little holy, not holier than now, but just feeling a lot more holy than I had ever been. Not drinking, not smoking, not fornicating. And seeing someone like, also my fan, like I got an army of the righteous to defend, like some of my fans and friends, and like we were all kind of on the same vibes. Yeah. And just also letting like people know, like, yeah, as a rapper, you can make a considerable amount of money without saying bullshit. And that wasn't being said in the music. 316, so 316 is definitely because that's my, tag, or I don't know, last rap name, whatever. It's part of my branding, but also in the more John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, whosoever should believe in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. 316 ways to kill a hater dead. Thou shalt not kill, it's quoting 10 Commandments. Yeah, crooks in the castles, prophets, like, the righteous poor. Not all your hope should be placed in Barack Obama. It's a huge burden for that young man to shoulder. Shock G blessing me. I'm gonna do what I like. So shout out to Shock. Rest in peace. Microphone blessed by the bass God, homie. I think this was like right after, we did Pay Dues as one moment. Or I was walking with my ex-wife, and I put Little B on Pay Dues, and he legitimately bowed to me, like hands and knees type shit, not just like Japanese.
Shouts out, midnight, so it's great, man. Berkeley in the building, let's go, man. Let's drop it for real. You gotta do a motherfucker. You gotta love motherfucking hip hop. And these niggas know I'm hip hop. These niggas know I'm hip hop. You know I love rap. I'm making history, man. I'm never looking back.
Yeah, he was one of the, I don't know if we talked about this, but he's one of the few rappers that ever like came to a show. Like he asked me, hit me up like back when the pack was popping. Got my Vans on, but they look like sneakers. Got my Vans on, like. So it maybe had to be 08, 09. He came and he stood by the side of the stage and watched the whole show at the Down Low in Berkeley. And then afterwards gave me a CD. And this is before he went like all over the internet with Justin Bieber.
Oh my God. Is that right?
I think that song was on the CD he gave me. Like, people don't understand, like, before Lil B, like, the world had never heard anything like that. And if you heard it, you wouldn't be like, this is going to be the biggest thing ever. This is going to be a thing. And I was like, he gave it to me and I was like, I didn't know what to say to him. I was like, man, I don't even know if I didn't respond because I was like, I don't understand it. But he was so kind and so dope. And so when he started blowing up, he just deserved it. And, more than just being on Patriots, he deserved everything he got. But I've always been a huge fan because I love rappers that are confident in themselves, that do new things, and that are genuine. Just finished doing Camp Cazadero. It's a music camp, also not for profit. If you want to donate somewhere, it's a good place to donate. My friend Joshua Silverstein and his wife Cynthia are the directors. And it's camp. The campsite is owned by the city of Berkeley, where Little B is from. It was started by a music teacher, I believe, from Berkeley High. And I always say it's the best college in the world. And I've said that it's the best college in the world. I've never met a person, knock on wood, that I don't like. Never met a person that I don't like that went to Berkeley High. It's an amazing institution. And someone I made friends with recently told me that it is that way on purpose because in Berkeley, there is the Berkeley Hills and different parts, like Albany are different. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but like more affluent parts. And then there's the waterfront and different other places and parts of Berkeley that aren't as well-to-do. Instead of creating two high schools, which most cities in America do once they grow to a certain size, and there's that economic divide, they made it intention of only having one school. And that alone it's not perfect, but that alone has always made, when I meet people from Berkeley High, Black, white, Latino, queer, straight, whatever, they're phenomenal. Defari was a teacher at Berkeley High. Lil B was a student. Karma Chia, fundamentals, I believe. Like, there's so many people that I met. Of course, I went to B High. I went to B High. I was like, oh man, you're dope. You're just a authentic human. So anyway, Camp Cazadero was started by them, and then it moved into a band camp. One time at band camp, I did just spend the summer at band camp, y'all, a week at band camp. But it's grown into a family camp that's open to the public, where you can learn various arts. So there's yoga, there's myofascial therapy, there's Aquatopia, where my kids went to the creek and just threw rocks and built an imaginary city for 7 days straight. It's like a week-long camp. All your meals are included. You get a tent. You either camp on the ground in a dorm or in a canvas tent with the wood slats as a floor, like elevated. The kids are picking blackberries and eating them off the vine. All ages. So the youngest person there was 1, and I believe the oldest person may have been in their early 80s. There's also like band classes where you can learn beginning drums, beginning ukulele, advanced drums, advanced guitar, blues guitar, tap dance, instrument building, macro photography. So you have 4 periods a day. You wake up in the morning, there's a morning band that walks through the campsite and plays, I forget the songs they were playing, but I was already up. Oh, we did a cold plunge in the morning. Shout out to the cold plunge crew. There's a pool, so there's like water aerobics. You could take that class. So then you have your breakfast. You wake up, you have your breakfast, and then everybody goes to first period, second period, like high school. Then there's reflection time, what used to be called quiet time, but for people who are not neurotypical, it's kind of rude, they say, to shush people. So just reflection time. Then you get an hour for lunch. Then you have third period and fourth period. Puppet making. My kids took puppet making. And then everyone at the end of the week puts on a show, and there's this it's all in the Redwoods, and there's a natural amphitheater there in the Redwoods. And so everyone either performs there or on another family deck in between the cabins. It's like the tap dancing wouldn't have gone over well on the concrete in the amphitheater. So the tap dancing, there was samba, there was capoeira, there was 90s hip hop house party dancing. so funny to see dances that I learned to do while watching MTV be taught to my son. My 12-year-old was in the hip hop dance class, so he's learning to do the kid and play, and the instructor's like, and this is the kid and play. All right, now kid and play. Now WAP. Now it's fucking wild. It's like swing dancing. Like my it's about as many years. When I was that age, swing dancing was chronologically to me what 90s hip hop dancing is. So I was gonna let him watch Juice for his 13th birthday, but I don't think he's still a little innocent. Praise God. I think we'll watch House Party though. He needs to learn to feel Robert Williams. What was his name? God, Robin Harris's belt. Because I don't do the belt, but he needs to have some type understand what we grew up with, the fear. He may not internalize that fear, but he needs to understand that fear existed.
I wouldn't do that just yet, cause your ass is mine.
I can explain.
Whoop that
I
damn
can explain.
high
Really.
top fade
Give me
off
a
of
chance
you.
to explain.
I'm sick of your shit. I didn't work too hard and too long to let you run over me like you out of your damn mind.
Yeah, but there's teens and like your kids just run wild because there's no traffic. They can just like my 7 and 8-year-old. There's a bridge and there's 2 camps, and my 7-year-old, my 5-year-old would be like, all right, I finished get his own breakfast, make his own cereal, go to the buffet, feed himself. They sit on their little kids' table, and then he made some friends. I don't know how the fuck he just found some kids playing Magic the Gathering. He had never seen it before in his life, but he's a nerd by genetics. And so he's just like, I'm going to play Magic the Gathering. I'm like, who the fuck are your friends? And later I meet their parents, and our kids are off in the creek. It's just a safe space for kids to grow and learn and do art. So anyway, I got invited to teach rap. Joshua Silverstein and I taught rap to people on a show called Drop the Mic, where I had to teach like Rascal Flatts to battle Boys to Men, Rob Gronkowski, all these people that don't rap to do rap. They were written for someone like battle rappers would write their raps, and then I would help them. I was chosen to be a coach. I was a rap coach. Yeah. So if you ever want to watch Drop the Mic, it's a great moment in hip hop history to me, a unique moment.
Joshua, give me a beat. So we're battling boys and men. How do we dare step on the favorite band of single grandmas everywhere? Your song Hard to Say Goodbye is incredibly beautiful. You probably have heard it if you've been to a funeral.
But Josh was the beatboxer because these people wouldn't be able to rap to a real beat because they were just learning. So he would be, and I thought it was genius because when I heard about this, I was like, how the fuck I'm going to make them rap to a beat? But Joshua or another beatboxer. Joshua was the beatboxer on screen, and then there was 2 beatboxers back. Joshua and another guy backstage that would rotate with the coaches. And so the beatboxer would learn this person's rhythm because everybody has a rhythm when they're trying to rap. And it's not always in 4/4 time, but Joshua would change up his beatboxing. So it's brilliant. And he's the crutch of that whole show. If you ask, it doesn't work. And I don't know if it was his idea or shout out to Jensen Karp. I don't know if it was his idea. We'll talk about that show more later as we get chronologically to that era. But Joshua said, you can teach rap. The great Maya Jupiter taught the year before. She taught half. This year I taught one. There's 2 weeks of camp at this point. So I taught the first week, and I had never taught anything, and I've never taught anyone to rap with their own words. And so I had 2 classes that I could come up with, one younger, one older. I chose the summertime rhythm and rhyme choir. So we remade a version of Paul Revere, which I may send so you guys can hear it.
Here's a little story about this town when I was 10 called a pen. Don't look around. It started in the shower of 45, and now I was dating a rapping line. We had a little teacher, his name was Murs. He showed us our best and never got a word. We're a bunch of kitties because of his kitties. We all looked up at him like Tim and Kenny.
Go, sir.
All right, let's go. Come on.
When I say cap, you say cap. 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 When I say cap, you say cap. Cap.
Cap.
Cap.
Cap.
Cap, cap, cap.
Cap, cap, cap.
A little 8-bar rap chorus and call response that I had 5 to 8-year-olds doing. So we had 7 5 to 8-year-olds. If you've ever tried to teach 5 to 8-year-olds after they've been playing in the woods all day, they made my third period start at 3:00. That's after lunch, after reflection time, and after 2 whole periods, and after swimming and all this. So the first day was bananas. Because some of these kids aren't the most proficient readers. So I couldn't write it and they learn it. I had to teach it and by the memory. And there's no homework because the kids are up till 10:30 at night in the woods playing, and their parents, everybody's parents, the parents are taking classes too. The kids are very independent. So you can take your class, like I said, on myofascial therapy or extreme yoga or water aerobics or tap dance, whatever you want to do. And there's DJ class as well. So they have like turntable decks set up in the camp office. So there's 4 decks where 4 people who sign up first for the class are able to learn DJing. So there's this fuck ton of shit. So everybody's doing shit. And by the end of the day, you're tired. So there's no rehearsing. So I had to teach them in 55 minutes and within 5 days to be ready for a show on the 6th day. But we learned it and they helped me write it. But I learned the first day we didn't get shit done. And I also learned how good kids are because I was like, by the 3rd day I was nervous, but I was like, yo, these kids didn't know shit 2 days ago. So they do, this is working. It gave me confidence. But I also had to do like, okay, we're going to do it 4 times. And then I'm going to make you all peanut butter and jelly sandwich because there's a 24-hour peanut butter and jelly station in the dining hall, which got really messy. If you can imagine kids having access to vats of peanut butter and jelly and bread, and people with peanut allergies. So that was a huge thing. Someone came to me in the middle of camp and was like, yo, we need a rap. Can you write a rap for the showcase to the Untalent show tonight? I was like, tonight? And teach my class? And the chef there was great and she deserved it. And so was her staff. So I came up with something and rapped about not using the fucking jam knife for the peanut butter because some people really just want a jelly sandwich and they have peanut allergies. Anyway, so that was so I also wrote that rap. One special young lady, little girl, she was 6, was also in the youth rock band. They didn't call it the kids rock band because Kid Rock, get it. The youth rock band changed too. And so she took Our Paul Revere and they turned it into a rock song. And then she was so cute. She's like, so at youth choir, or at youth rock band, I kind of mentioned that I already had a song that I knew and they liked the lyrics. So we're using it there. And I'm like, oh shit. I thought I wanted to like have the oomph of like giving this crowd these bars first. But I was like, all right, this is for the community. And then she's like, and could you like a 6-year-old in her like her high-heeled jellies and coming up with the cutest little smile coming up to me. And so could you just like change these last parts though? Because some of the lines in the rap pertain to art class and had my name in it. But could you like take this part and then make it for them? I was like, okay, what are your teachers' names? So I took her teachers' names and created a new rap. But it didn't sound like a rap because they changed it into a rock song. And she, the drummer and vocalist, the 6-year-old, all these kids were magnificent. So that was it. And then I had an older class where I taught people from 10 years old to 57 years old how to write at 16. But some of them had taken my Jupiter's class. So they were like, boom. And there are people, non-binary people, like a 10-year-old. And she was fantastic. She got kicked out of the bookbinding class. So she didn't have as much of a day to perform. But by the end, she had memorized her rap in 4 days and written 26 bars. And like rapping for her city. She's from El Cerrito. She threw that in there, banging. It was dope, man. The 57-year-old woman wrote a rap about the Camino de Santiago that she just walked in Spain with her son, her 15-year-old, and she had like hooks. Another sister wrote like she had Diggy. She had like a whole thing about meeting a girl and breaking up with her and re-meeting her in Cuba and then breaking up with her in China. And then I have like a call and response for the hook. And they used the I Used to Love Her Again beat from Forever. I played them a bunch of my own beats and then they chose that one. And met a couple younger dudes who were like some people knew I was a rapper, a couple people, but a lot of people didn't know like to what extent I was a rapper. And then at the performance, like my adult class had basically, they all came on stage at the same time and had a cypher and did their bars. And some of them had 16s. Most of them had over 16. And so it was like 11-minute cypher and the beat, I had to loop the beat and the engineers were like, yo, whose beat is this? And I was like, Ninth Wonder. You know Ninth Wonder? And I'm like, oh my God. Like 20 somethings, like Gen Z, like Ninth Wonder is a thing, and I am but a blip. I'm like, yeah, I've like, 7 albums with them, but it's not. I don't care as long as people are stoked or not. I wasn't insulted. It's just crazy. Like in my age bracket or my world, Murs and Ninth Wonder is synonymous. Like we're Batman, Robin. I'll be Robin. He loves Batman.
To the bat for right.
So that's Camp Kaz. If you want to go next summer, I recommend it. It was a lot, people, but my kids had fun. My wife had a good time. Fundraisers and stuff throughout the year. If you're in the Bay Area, I really suggest you check it out. That was long.
Speed is of the essence.
Comic-Con was great. Only got really one day to myself there. One day with the kids. Usually I try to have more than that. Got publishable exposure to hand, foot, and mouth disease. I found out on the plane in Chicago, and I had a week full of meetings. So then I tried to go in the office. That was the wrong idea because I've never had a job. Now I currently have a job with Ground Waves in Chicago where I have to go into an office, and being salaried, I'm like, or not salaried, but being paid to work 1 week a month out of the office, I'm like, I probably should go in, right? But I'm nervous. I'm like, do I go in? I don't want to go in because I'm a germaphobe and I know how it is. And but I'm like, if I don't go in, do I not get paid? Like what? I only have 1 week a month. I got to go in. I'm not trying to fuck this up. And the call after talking to a couple people was to go in, and that was the wrong call. So then I went back to the hotel in quarantine. So I sat in a Chicago hotel for 6 days or whatever until the incubation period was clear. So that was fun. Like I said, and then went right into camp. But Comic-Con was great. I got to meet the great Swerve Strickland. He went out of his way to come meet me. And I really appreciate them taking the time because I'm a huge fan. If you don't know Swerve Strickland, he's, to me, still the champion of AEW wrestling. Also a rapper, dope rapper to me. And kind individual now. And thanks to Bootleg Kev for giving him the heads up and both making that a way to come to my panel and say hello. I bought Transformer from the Void Rival series. I'm not going to go into definition or details. If you know that, you know that. If you don't worry about it. It's not important nerd shit. Yeah, waited in some lines, met some cool people, saw some amazing cosplay, went to the fish market in Oceanside the next day, as we usually do, to see some family. And yeah, then I went to Chicago, blah, 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 straight into the camp. Now we're here. Album's out. Yeah, this is all the week before that. They like, you could have Wi-Fi. And there was no time for me to do anything to prepare for the rollout of this album. So it is what it is. This is why it's my last album. Like the kids' camp and Ground Waves is taking priority. Being of service is where my life is transitioning into. And I'm learning to find the joy in that. I do enjoy having purpose.
And I never fired one shot. Ain't no higher power than the one that I got. No napalm necessary. The rap game's now a cemetery. And I'm dancing on your grave. You was born a free man, but died an industry slave. These 360 deals is crazy. They call it 360 cause you trapped in a maze. And I'm amazed by the ignorance. Money made y'all a bunch of $1 million idiots. You still spending money on jewels. I took my money out to Africa to build more schools. And still got enough to take a cruise with my lady friend. Pull up to your spot in a drop top Mercedes Benz. You see you give, then you get back. But I'ma be dead before you lames ever live back. See, I got an army of the righteous to defend me. God on our side, so we pray for our enemies. 316, 316, 316 ways to kill the industry. Got an army of the righteous to defend me. God on our side, so we pray for the enemy. 316, 316, 316 ways to kill the industry.
There's lots of pauses. I love that because that's like when there's a crackle, when that analog, like, and you leave space to let the sample leak through. I don't know if that makes sense to y'all. I always say like to when I'm teaching rap, I guess now, but the Cameron, I really mean it. Like take a couple bars off, let just live.
Shoot it, flames till your brain's the fluid. Y'all just kids, see what I just did? Take a couple bars off, let just live.
Yeah. Now that's powerful music, man. You need to pop
And
something.
there's another one. Jay-Z put the boy in the box. Let the audience. Well, I think that's on Threat.
Blueprint plans on you. We
Rat Pack niggas let Sam tap dance on you, then I Sinatra shot you, goddamn you. I put the boy in the box like David Blaine, let the audience watch, it ain't a thing. Y'all wish it was front. I George Bush the butt.
And there's samples and people who chop like Ski and Ninth and so many people in Primo and Just Blaze. Like you could like leave a so that's why there's all these spaces. It doesn't do as well with live instruments. Another aspect of this that didn't translate well. That's why I did a lot of slow shit, because you let the sample and let the analog cook. You know what I'm saying? As my kids are saying, let it cook, let it shine. And I never fired one. I took a whole like boom, 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 boom. That's a long pause of them first three, and I never fired one shot. I always wanted to do that. I love it. Higher Power, 360 Deals is another reason I was. Dancing on the Grave is also a remix I did with Get Busy Committee. I think Apathy, Exhibit. I forget who else on that song. It's one of my favorite songs I did.
Dancing on your grave,
I be dancing on your grave, moonwalking on your mausoleum. Got the crip, keep a crip walking, man, you gotta see him. I'm out of here, man, your boy's so major. These haters have heat, but I'm fucking with these lasers. Act out of favor, now your face is a crater. Real hood nigga dressing like a pro skater. I'm OG, I got money to burn. I'm yelling GBC and hit my Dougie on your urn.
But the Get Busy Committee, I think it was somebody from Styles of Beyond, Scoop DeVille, and I believe Apathy. But I love that song so much. And Get Busy Committee, I believe, did Pay Dues. And I did a verse on that one, Dancing on Your Grave. So that's there. Yeah, 360 Deals, one of the other reasons that I wasn't, even if the powers that be had stayed, probably at Warner Brothers, I was going to leave. And after my album, after Murs for President, I probably would have been done regardless. But at least we would have worked through that album and got to put out everything as a single, which I think, we've talked about. I was robbed. Almost had robbed. It wasn't meant to be, but I think that I could have had some success, being that it was never a single and it's still the most streamed song from Murs for President.
She was only 15 in love with bad R&B. She had to have vision cause she saw the star in me. Encouraged me to write about the drama in my life. To most I seemed strange, like something wasn't right. I used to fall a victim to the lunchroom comedian. Something like an outcast, started smoking weed and then I sort of fell into my own. Kind of felt at home when behind the microphone. But on the bus ride home, that didn't mean a thing.
That says a lot when a song can be the most popular song and never really received a single release or video. So I can only imagine. And with the, whatever the guy's name, James Blunt sample, it could have really gone to another side of the radio, which we were hoping for and we're planning for and working towards, brought to an abrupt halt by a devious man. But all things work in favor of the Almighty. So back to this, but I wasn't going to stay because I wasn't going to do a 360 deal. And everyone was being asked to accept that at that time. But, I could have, because they had also made an offer for Pay Dues at the time, which we didn't sell. A very generous offer. And that was another thing I'm rapping about in the song. I was not super comfortable saying no to that, but it wasn't because of the money. I wanted to get it off my plate because it was fracturing friendships. That's why I talk about the haters and all that stuff. Like, it was really a lot to carry. And I didn't like it. So I was ready to sell it. And, in hindsight, maybe we should have. But it was up to my partner, my mentor. But so they were finding other ways to work with me. So I may have done a 360 deal. It's just also at that time they weren't developed. I don't think it's such a bad thing for labels to do 360 deals now, because Live Nation is a record label. But Warner Brothers wasn't. They wanted a piece of your touring, but they didn't have a touring division yet. They wanted a piece of your merch, but their merch division was just getting off. They had great designers, but getting it to the people, they weren't as efficient. But I had a shirt at Hot Topic, which was a huge flex for me as a person who shopped at Hot Topic early on in life. But yeah, so now it's don't do the 360 deal, but it's if they're able to provide all those services, it takes a headache off you. And if they're not going to cross collateralize your revenue, as long as your debt, quote unquote, from your record doesn't cross over to your merch and doesn't cross over into your touring, it could be a smart deal for artists. And they're not taking a management fee. And at that point, if I was an artist just giving game right now, I would have an assistant, not a manager, because you could pay your assistant less than you would pay a manager, because the label is basically handling everything. You just need someone to take meetings and schedule meetings with your teams, your individual teams, and representative was in the label, I would say. You need a booking agent, a lawyer, and you may not need a manager at that point because they should. And also if they're actively bringing in sponsorship and licenses, that's another part that your manager would be doing. So if they're bringing in like licenses and looks and getting you audition for commercials and all the shit you want, yeah, this just turned into a rap help podcast. Yeah, went on my first Disney cruise. So when I first really sat down with Tech Nine and we discussed him coming on the Pay Dues tour, and I got to get back to doing the Pay Dues episodes on Patreon. I'm so sorry, y'all. Thank you for your patience. But yeah, Tech was, like, come out, take the tour of Strange. It's like the thing you do, and it's worth it. If you ever get offered this tour of the Strange Music Facility, it's inspiring. It's amazing. And at the end of it, they were like, yeah, I saw Tech with a picture of Mickey Mouse. And I was like, what the fuck? And he's like, man, you've never been on Disney? I was like, okay, if the King of Darkness is telling me to go on a Disney cruise and I'm a Disney season pass holder for multiple years, okay. And I went, and it was phenomenal. Not huge on Disney at the moment, by the way. But this is, maybe I should have never been huge on Disney. But also, like, I have friends that work there. And, like, I have a friend that went from working the Roger Rabbit ride to a very high-level position. And Disney took great care of him through that. I have a couple other friends that work there and do great things. So it's challenging. But, yeah, at that time, it was a dope cruise. And then, yeah, it's just like, after that, I went to Ethiopia on a mission trip. My ex-wife was supposed to go with her cousin, who's a Mormon. And at the last minute, the cousin's like, I'm not going anymore. And we'd already paid the money. So I was like, yeah. And all my Rastiness at the time with the huge, crazy dreadlocks, I'm like, yeah, of course. For those of you who don't know, Rastafari is Prince Tafari, who is the direct descendant of the king of this King Solomon. In Ethiopia, as my brethren say, some people, Rastas, believe that he is the second coming, King of Kings, Lords of Lords, Jah Rastafari, Haile Selassie I.
Rastafari. Praise his name. From the rise of the sun to the going down thereof. Most High.
He was a king in Ethiopia, though. And Ethiopia is the only country in Africa, or a nation in Africa, to never have been conquered. Out of 54, 55, depending on the day, countries, the only one. Nelson Mandela learned his tactics, some of his political strategies from the king himself. The king himself, after World War I, gave a speech to the United Nations, which was called something different at the time, I believe, warning them that if you did not help Ethiopia, kind of similar to what's going on now, I'm about to start preaching. His Imperial Majesty warned the League of Nations, that's what it was, of what was to come. Not as specific, but basically, if you don't do something now, shit, it wasn't World War I yet. It was just the World War. But World War II was on the horizon. He warned them, if you don't get your ducks in a row and start helping out those who need help, you're going to be next, motherfuckers. And guess what? Fascism isn't new, and it's not hard to see when it's swelling up. I don't know if it ever disappeared, but it's easy to spot on the rise.
Until the philosophy which old one race superior and another inferior is finally and permanently discredited and abandoned. Everywhere is war. It's a war that until they're no longer first class and second class citizens of any nation, until the color of a man's skin is of no more significance than the color of his eyes. Miss a war.
So, you can call him a prophet or not. but in circles that I was in at the time, and still the community I'm a part of, he's highly respected. And some regard him as a prophet, some regard him as a second coming, some regard him as a great king, who was, some say later on, dethroned. If you like, Ethiopia is the only African nation, or first African nation to have its airline, first African nation to have a female pilot. A lot of things that Selassie put in place and systems he put in place, like I said, leading, mentoring people like Nelson Mandela, was not liked. So when we got in the 80s and you get into this, we are the world. Oh, did you hear about the Ethiopian basketball team versus the U.S. basketball team? Yeah, Ethiopia ate nothing. Those things that I grew up thinking they were jokes, and like African booty scratcher and Ethiopia, like all this is propaganda, allegedly to dethrone the king, so that the whole world is looking. And the BBC went in there to usurp or push out His Imperial Majesty, filming way out. Addis is the capital. Addis, at the time, I'm told, depends on who you talk to, and to no offense to my Eritrean brothers and sisters, I don't know the whole, just giving my side. But, Ethiopia is a huge country. Ethiopia was the borders of Ethiopia, not the nation of Ethiopia, or I can't think of the name right now, the original name. But the people are Habesha people, Habesha or Habesha, however you say it. Those borders the Ethiopian borders were created by Europeans. Still, Europeans conquering other things. Like territory, I would assume is much more vast. But Amharic is the language, but there are so many tribes that don't speak Amharic that are still within the borders of Ethiopia. And as Selassie was working to build up after colonizers came to the continent, you know what I mean? After defending from Italy, whatever was going on in Africa, it's been going on for years. They're recovering from that. So the far reaches of Ethiopia weren't doing as well as Addis yet. So BBC found these people on the outskirts, on the fringes of the burgeoning society, or quote unquote civilization, and filmed them. And now you see these people with flies on their eyes and their stomachs distended and blah, blah, blah. And it's the fall of the king. It's the fall of the king, because no one has kings anymore except for Europe. It's okay for them to have a queen, but it wasn't okay for Africa or other places to have kings. It wasn't a dictatorship, but they painted this picture and he was ousted. Some say for the better, some say for not. I don't live there, so I'm going to reserve my opinion. During his reign, he realized that a sect of people in Jamaica calling themselves Rastafarians thought he was the second coming. Some say he denied it. Some say he embraced it. I'm not here to debate that either. But what I'm here to say is that when I was told by high-ass Rastas in the world that in South Central, when I say the world, in South Central, as a youth, is a Him Imperial Majesty leaving land for I and I. There was supposedly a place called Sashamani in Ethiopia where His Imperial Majesty left land for any Rasta to live for free off the land. If you go there, you could live there. As a kid that was dreaming of running away to Ethiopia and quitting rap when I was 17 years old, that had his first girlfriend who was Ethiopian and slept on a futon with red, gold, and green bed sheets, and had never shaved or hadn't cut his hair in years and had never shaved in his life. Let me tell you, it was hot on my mind. I just didn't believe it. So now I have the opportunity to go, and guess the fuck what? I'm walking through Addis, and multiple people, when they see my hair coming to me, you need to go to Sashamani. You need to go to Sashamani. People translate. This person wants to tell you that you need to go to Sashamani. The king left. They pull out, he's on the money. They pull out the money and point to his face, and they're like, yeah. And they're like, you need to go to the land that he gave for you. We have a place for you. These are people who have way less than I do telling me that there is a part of their country that belongs to me as what they believe is the Rasta. Same day when I went on the trip, when the people saw my hair, the African and Caribbean people that worked, because the type of locks I have are very like priest-like, even though I shaved my face, which was, there's eye tall, and my friends used to say eyeball. In log cabin, they say eyeball. The opposite, eye tall means holy. So eye tall, and I was on a vegan diet, so the chefs we had one chef on the Disney cruise that would follow me wherever I ate and cook for me, as a vegan. Or I followed that. I won't say that I followed that chef because the chefs moved from kitchen to kitchen on the thing. So he whatever he was cooking, he would make me a vegan version of the same meal. And that's the best vegan food, not Impossible Meat. When someone who can cook makes you something that's vegan, it's amazing. So I had amazing food, and they would come to the table and bow to me. All of the Caribbean, all of the members of the diaspora would like hail me up every time they saw me, because as a Rasta, and that's something that Dame checked me on later on when we talked about that. Like, who are you going to be? Even when I cut my dreads, like, who are you going to be? So like, that's something I learned. Like, you had to live up to. Like in LA, you're a weirdo, and my dreads in Miami mean something different. In Brooklyn, they mean something different. But to the rest of the world, the Africans and Caribbeans, a certain type of locks and a certain way you dress and carry yourself will command a certain amount of reverence. And living into that was humbling. Like I said, and seeing kids in Ethiopia asking if they want us to buy food, and they were like, no, we just want education. Can you pay for me to go to school? Clean water and education are the demands. Primary school costs money. It's not free. So I felt like a real dickhead, part of me, for ditching school. But really I did school with the plan. I knew what I wanted to do. But those people fucking around in school, like, we take that for granted. As fucked up as our education system is, if you apply yourself and have the opportunity, like if you can have 3 meals a day, room over here, you're not living in a violent, threatening situation, blah, blah, blah. There's hope where there is absolutely none. And your hope becomes the white saviors that come bringing Christianity, which brings me to my next point. Was they were painting a mural of white Jesus. And I was just like, what are you guys doing? I had to snap. And I had to tell the white Christians, I was like, do you understand that the Bible takes place here? There are parts of the Bible that actually happen here. The first convert was the Ethiopian eunuch. The word Ethiopia is in the Bible. You know what's not in the Bible? Tennessee, motherfucker. You're not bringing Jesus to this continent. Jesus has been here before you stole America from the indigenous people. Before you all had a church, when you were worshiping trees and the seasons. Jesus was here. How dare you? Like, they're looking to you for resources, and you say, no, and I'm coming here on behalf of a white God. Then telling them the way that they worship Christ is wrong, or the way that they read the Bible is wrong. Because the Europeans, the Roman Catholics, or whoever decided, I think the Romans killed him, or whatever, whoever killed him, like that movement, people in that community are the ones that said what was canon and what was not canon for the Bible. The so-called scholars who didn't live in the region where the Bible took place dictated to these people, Christianity is the first rock and roll. Like, the whole Christianity has become the white man's religion. It's contrary to what a lot of my brothers and sisters think. It is not the white man's religion. It didn't take place in Europe. Well, I mean, parts did take place in Rome, excuse me. But origins of the Bible are not a European story. The characters in the Bible are not. The protagonists are not Europeans, or the protagonists. And having to tell grown people that, like, yo, stop with this. Like, you're coming in and giving them water. Don't talk to them about, they have Jesus. You're not bringing Jesus to them. You're bringing cut Coke back to Colombia, bro. They have the raw. They have the pure. Let them tell you about it. Maybe humble yourself and try to learn. And then maybe, like the Rasta them, say, reason with them on what you think. And, there's always room to reason when it comes to spirituality, no matter what continent or color your skin is. If you come in with reverence and respect for those who have they have an understanding of Jesus in the Bible. It's not your understanding. That's where reasoning comes in. But when you dictate and you lord fresh water over them, or just even saying that, even if you're not lording it over there, you're just giving it to them, but you're giving it to them in the name of a white God, or in painting a white Jesus on a wall, like, it just adds to the God complex. But we wound up sending 3 kids to school in Shashamani. We tried adopting from there. It didn't work out. Yeah. And then things were like, I don't think my statement, I don't know, we talked about, like, someone tried to rob my ex-wife and I lost it on the dude, almost hurt him really bad. But just out of reaction, but they had never, like, seen me cuss. I would snap, like the time at House of Blues. Like, there were a few times, like, my wife, my brother, like my children, like, I will revert to my lower self unconsciously. So I don't know that statement, me talking about Christianity, like the Ark of the Covenant, allegedly, if you believe in that, is in Ethiopia. It was a gift to the Queen of Sheba. She lived where? I'm telling them that, like, yo, these things are in your book that you're trying to teach these people about. And then trying to explain to these people, like, they didn't understand Bloods and Crips. They didn't understand cocaine, crack. They never heard of gangster rap. Like, this is where my reverence for soccer came in. Because the only way I could communicate with people who look like me or had the same skin color as me was through this game. They didn't know Tupac, Snoop Dogg, 50 Cent. They knew Shakira because she had the This One's for Africa song from the World Cup.
Cause this is Africa. This time for Africa.
And that's related back to soccer. And that's when I vowed that my kids would not be ignorant of soccer, because it's a connector to the world. Yeah, but then they were holding hands, and that was weird. They wanted to hold my hand and walk down the street. They're just very arm around each other, like they're very close and touchy men. And then I was like, no, we don't do that. That's people aren't gay. You don't do that. And they didn't even understand the concept of gay, or at least they pretended like they didn't. And try to explain to them gangbanging. It was like, what? The people that kill each other because why? And you guys have fresh water and free education? They're like, huh? It just made me think every American child should go to Africa, especially Black Americans. Yeah, it was a trip, man. And then walking in the rain, I tried to get an umbrella from a shop, and the dude that wanted to hold my hand and walk down the street told me that I wasn't a man if I got an umbrella, and he would walk on the other side of the street. He would not walk next to me if I had bought an umbrella. But yeah, so we sponsored some kids. We built a well. I was taking donations that paid dues. And then so the inside of the album, I mentioned it here, back to Africa to build more schools, and just going to the orphanages out there. The help is needed. As a vegan, I was buying goats, holding down goats while the men in the tribe slit the throat, helping them hang a skin, all the shit. I did all the man shit. I didn't eat it. But when you see that those goats feed 200 people, you get off your vegan high horse. And the goats are just roaming the street. They're not in cages or nothing. The goats are, you say someone, you go on the street and they're some of them have their horns spray painted or different things to mark who they belong to. You raise your hand, see who they belong to. Give them, I think $25 for a goat or something. $20, $12 for a goat. And we would capture them, tie their legs together and throw them on top of the bus we were on and then drive. Take it. And then, but also as a vegan, you tie one to the tree that you're going to slit his throat, and then the other one's still in the yard where you're at, or if you're at an orphanage in the field, and has nothing playing. I want to play. Kids don't speak English, or some of them don't even speak Amharic. So the only way for any one of us is through sports. So we're playing soccer in the mud, barefoot, whatever. And then the men are you're going to play with the kids, but you got to come over here. The women are doing this, making coffee, making injera. But seeing one goat watch another goat get his throat slit and seeing it cry, yeah, I'm not judging these people, but I can't, So it was just all of these things, going into the one line, two lines that are in this song. But also me realize I have enough money, similar to what's happening this weekend at Rhymefest. I've seen some snide comments if you got it like that, I don't have it like that, but I have enough. If I had spent this $10,000 I'm donating and I showed up to Rhymefest with a Rhymefest diamond studded chain, would you cheer that? Would you envy that? Would that be okay? If I just put it in a college fund for my children, is that more admirable? But the community that supports me and my city is being affected by something, and I have enough. Not enough to be good for the rest of my life, but I have enough for now, and I'm going to give what I can. And also people who have given to me may not be in a place that they can give. So I give on the behalf of anyone who's ever bought a record or people who are buying tickets. A lot of people who are buying tickets to the Rhymefest are children of immigrants. The person throwing Rhymefest is a child of an immigrant, and his family's directly affected, and he was touched and yeah, man, of course you can do that. Of course I'll do that. Of course I'll have your back. Like, this is not something where we know somebody who knows somebody and we're sending the money to overseas in hopes that this and this happen. Like, this is going right now to people who are fighting right now. Because once again, fascism is rearing its ugly head. And this time around, it's time to get to stamping it out quicker than we did the last time. God willing. But yeah, this is the things I've been doing. Like, I've got to the point where I have enough. When I have enough, you give the rest. That's why it's like talking about like being hesitant. Gave it. I thought I gotta have $1 million. I gave it to the meek. Fight to stay righteous while living in this bracket. Like, you know, in my holy book in the Bible, it says that it's easier for a camel to walk through an eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. That sits with me so much. You know, you can't take it with you when you're dead. That's cool. So you buy some property and your legacy. What is I want my legacy to be kindness. I want like I said, someone asked me the other day on the stream we were doing for the new album, like, what's the thing you're most proud of in your career? And I want to say proud of, the most important thing to me is pay dues. Pay dues. And me, hell, this is how it works. When you give back, like, I did this, then I made more money. And so I could do something else in Ethiopia to inspire someone to do something like Thought Fest, where now I take kids from Ground Waves to do Thought Fest, and 60s gave us a stage, and now I got the funding to get people, some grown men, on their first flight. A bunch of kids who never would have seen the ocean saw the ocean. But it all links back to I got a record deal, and I was like, what else can I do? I got it. I did it. I want a platinum record and all that shit, but what else can I do? Back then I was one person with a lot of money that doesn't want a gold chain or teeth or to buy bottles. To me, that has a heart for Christ or for righteousness. What do you do? And I believe, like, I'm sure, like, I want to go to heaven. I believe in heaven. And if I'm rich, now I'm rich. What I was very rich. You know, when you do the world stats and stuff. Not as rich as a lot of rappers, but as rich as you think some rappers are. That was when I also started meeting other accountants, and my accountant being like, yeah, nah, he ain't got it like that. Like, knowing, like, oh shit, like, you're borrowing your way into wealth and fame. You're not really wealthy. You're rich. And I was rich and I wasn't wealthy, but I wasn't perpetrating. And I wanted to be really rich, but just mean like giving back. So all like, yeah, doing pay dues led to, you know, inspiring 60 East, who has the pay dues tattoo on his throat. And now I'm able to use his platform. He lent it to me so that I could give to someone else and make memories and changes in people's lives. Same thing with Rhymefest. Now Rhymefest is going, and I can use this platform to use the money to give to the Immigrant Defense Center in a time where my city really needs it. And if you don't agree with, I said it last week, if you don't agree with that, it's the Immigrant Defense Center, not as in the other defense that involves guns and genocide. Defense, as in they're using the American legal system to make sure that America is playing by its own rules in regards to these people who are being targeted. That's it. How can you be against that? All we want to do is make sure that your government or our government is following your rules or our rules in regards to dealing with immigrants, whether legal or illegal, as much as that term is disgusting. How can you be against that? So I hope that everyone that buys a ticket to Rhymefest is happy that I'm able to use our resources to donate to those in need. They are in need of assistance. That's it. That's all. I don't think there's a side to that. There's not a red or blue side to that. The Immigrant Defense Center. Unless you believe that your laws and the people who enforce them are perfect. Legally going about defending immigrants. That's what it's about. Nothing else. At this point. Yeah. Hip hop needed love, so I put some God in it. That was 316 Ways. I'm still waiting to get the van to go pick up my merch. I'm hoping it comes soon. Next, we're going to do Animal Style. And then we're going to maybe get into Love Rockets 316. Please go listen to the record. That's all I ask. I lied last time. I thought there was one left. There's two different versions. That version is sold out. But the autograph version at this point of this thing, there are 20 left. out of 316. Speaking of 316, no one told you today I fucking love you. Peace, y'all. Peace, y'all. Peace, y'all. Peace, y'all. Thanks for listening to the Best Rapper in LA podcast. Make sure you subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you never miss an episode by subscribing on Spotify, Apple, wherever it is. If you like the show, leave a review on Apple Music or Spotify. And to support the podcast directly, go to patreon.com/MURS316, Murs316. See y'all next week. Peace. Peace.